Okay then, so let's create a new folder in our desktop. So right click new folder, and I'm going to name that folder as Firebase auth. And we are going to discuss about the both Gmail, Google authentication, and as well as the GitHub authentication. Okay, so let's open up this folder in the terminal, new terminal, and open it in the Visual Studio Code space dot. All right, so here we go, and let me make it bigger. Okay, so open up your terminal. So we need to create a React project first. So let's start creating it. So yarn, I'm using yarn package. If you're using npm, so just write npx create. I'm using yarn, so yarn create React app, and I'm going to create that React app in this current directory, so dot slash. So that will create the React application. So in the meanwhile, let's go and create a new Firebase project. So open up the browser and go to firebase.google.com. so that will take you to the Firebase console. So click here, go to console. So click go to console. All right, so let's create a new project. So click here, and I'm just going to name it as Firebase auth. All right, so Firebase auth, and click continue, and I'm going to disable the Google Analytics and create the project. Unless if you're creating a real-time project, so if you want the Google Analytics, so that will gives you the insights, how many views, how many viewers, how many users are coming active in your website. So that will gives all the insights which is necessary for your websites. Okay, but you need to pay for it. All right, so now just click continue, and here we go. So let's go ahead and create an app. So first what we need to do is we need to add an app for that. So click here, project settings. All right, so when you go here, you can find iOS, Android, and web app. So click the web app, because we need a web app to integrate our Firebase project with our React project. So click here, and I'm going to use the same name, Firebase auth, and I'm not going to host it yet, so let's worry about it later. So click register app. So let it okay then. So to use the Firebase in your project, in your machine, you need to install this Firebase. You need to install this, the Firebase, to use the Firebase in our project, we need to install this npm install Firebase. All right, and this is the configuration file. So click continue to console, and here we go. So we do have all the configuration files and everything necessary for our project. And of course, we are going to use the Google authentication and as well as the GitHub authentication. I'll show you how to enable the Google authentication first. So to do that, go to build and expand the authentication tab. All right, so click get started. Okay, so here we are going to use the Google first. So click the Google authentication provider and enable it. All right, and it will ask you your Gmail address. So select your Gmail and click save. So that will enable the Google authentication for this particular auth client. It will be enabled for this, and the Google authentication is enabled. Now I need to enable the GitHub provider also. So click the GitHub provider. All right, so I need to enable it, and it will ask you client ID and the client secret. So let's open up the new tab and go to the github.com, right? So right now I'm in my GitHub profile, so you can see it here. All right, so this is my GitHub profile, and here you need to navigate to the settings. So click the settings, and if you scroll down, you can find the developer settings over here. So click the developer settings, and initially for you need to use this OAuth apps. You need to use this OAuth apps. So for you it might be empty, so you need to click this option, new OAuth app. So currently I'm using this GitHub sign-in for my latest version of my website. I'm currently building it, and here you can see this. If you click that, and you need to give an application name, so I'm just going to say Firebase auth, and home URL, you can give your the domain URL, which is going to be, so this is going to be localhost only. So what we can do is I'll just copy this localhost URL from here and paste it here, localhost. And description, you can give the description, and the callback URL, it's going to be from here. This is the callback URL. So we need to copy this and you need to paste it here and then click register application. So now your application is ready, and if you scroll down you can find your where is the here it is. This is the client ID. So this is the client ID you need to copy and you need to provide it over here, and as well as you need to go here and generate a new secret. Give you a password, type your password, then you have your secret key over here, copy it and you can paste it over here. All right, so then all you have to do, just click the save. So now your GitHub authentication, that OAuth for your GitHub, it's connected with your Firebase project. And we need to do one more thing, because we are using the Google authentication and as well as the GitHub, because some user might have the same email ID for both Gmail and as well as the GitHub, just like the user like me, because I do have the same email address for every single authentication, like Google or GitHub. I'm using the same. That means I do have a common email for everything. So in that situation, what you need to do is either you need to handle it, because Firebase documentation provides you to handle if the email address is already inside your user portal, you need to handle it in a different way. Otherwise, for each and every providers, you can maintain a separate user even if it's the same email ID. In this case, I'm just to make it simple, I'm just changing the settings to separate. I'm just going to configure it. Even though if the email address is same, we are going to maintain two different providers. Okay, same email address for two different providers. So click the settings and then here, where is that option? Somewhere in the sign in methods, usage. Oh god, I forgot the option. Settings, user actions, not this one. Authorized domains. Where user account linking, here, sorry, this is the one, user account linking, and here you can see link account that use the same email, because by default every Firebase project uses, it will try to protect the user to create multiple account for the same email. But if it is a different provider, we can create it. So I'm just going to create a multiple account for each identity provider. Okay, that means even if it is the same email address for Gmail or GitHub, no issues, create it separately. So I'm just going to save the changes. All right, so now all the settings which is necessary for our Firebase project is done. Now let's go ahead and open our Visual Studio Code, and here we go, our project is also done. Okay, so now we need to add a package. That's the Firebase package. So yarn add Firebase, and as well as I'm going to add the Tailwind CSS also, because I'm familiarized. Most of the project we are using Tailwind only, so I'm going to install the Tailwind CSS also. To Tailwind CSS, open it and click get started, and where is it, installation, and here we go. So copy this Tailwind CSS, copy it, and I'm just going to add it, paste it here. So press enter. So that will install both Firebase and as well as the Tailwind CSS. And once the Tailwind CSS package is successfully installed, all we have to do is to configure these two of them inside in the Tailwind configuration. So we need to run this to initialize the Tailwind configuration JS, and we need to add this line, and we need to add it in our index.css. Okay, so basically, I think this is showing the configuration for a plain HTML project. What we can do is Tailwind CSS for React, search for React project, then you can find this one, install Tailwind CSS with React app. So here, let's say, there we go, we already created the project, and oops, I need to install these two also, forgot to install them. Yarn add. All right, so initially the one which I copied, that's a plain HTML project, it will not work, but we need to install this post CSS and auto prefixer also. prefixer also. And let me copy this from here, and we are going to initialize our tailwind, paste it, enter. So now that will generate the post-config.js and as well as the tailwind config.js, the place where we are going to configure our entire customized CSS and everything, custom CSS styles and everything. All right, so then what we need to do is we need to add this line. So click here inside the source, copy it and paste it inside your content. All right, save the changes and let's go back here, and I need to copy this thing, copy it, and I need to paste it inside my index.css. all right, so what I can do is basically I don't need this app, delete it, and I don't need this logo, delete it, and this also I don't need it, delete it, setup test, delete it. Okay, all I need is just index.js, app.js, and all those things. Let's go here, and I don't need this report, delete this one, and this is not necessary, delete this one. All right, save the changes, and yeah, here we go. And now here, what else we need to do? Yeah, copy this and open your index.css and paste this line at the top. We need to paste this line at the top, paste it here and save the changes. All right, so then go back here, and now if you run your application, and you can use this tailwind CSS utility classes inside your app.js. So successfully we configured the tailwind CSS in our React app.